Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cavil's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cavil's Voice, Cavil's Voice, CavilsVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, Team Tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, Mike Washington, and Brian Fulford. See, Mike has got in there, got a little ice cold jacket on. We got Mike in here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Brian, how you doing today, man? You see how the boys get down. We apologize. We got folks be acting up, man. They little weather come out there and they think they cold.
I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on. I'm curious where Mike is. You know, it's like, is that a new segment? Where's Mike? You know, that's a new segment. Sponsored by who knows? We need a new sponsor for that one, Doc.
Yeah.
So we call it frequent flyer miles where we go.
That's basically, we gonna leave it at that, frequent flyer mileage.
Charles, how you doing today, man? I see you done redesigned the room, set up multiple. What you doing back there, man? You back at home and got a little time now. You setting up your man cave? What you the lab working? Oh, yeah, I see.
That's what it is. I had an opportunity to be at home for a little while and reconfiguring the man cave a little bit, but enjoying this time, enjoying the fact my daughter was back in from school, so gonna enjoy this week and get prepared for SWAC championship next week.
I see the pregame show must be playing well out there.
Yeah,
it's doing a little bit.
Yeah.
People get nervous when you get their pocket. Well, you see that, Paul?
Man.
You know what to say.
Is it, man?
Get into it. Welcome to episode 334 inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. From institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios in Sydney, a signal live at KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, multi-Hall of Famer, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. As you see, we got the team together as we get ready for this festive holidays. I hope everybody's safe. Those that are able to get home, hope you're able to get home. More importantly, those that are able to spend some time with your family and the comfort of your family. You do that if you have lost a loved one this past year, and this is the first major holiday that you're getting into. I certainly have prayers and make sure that you stay strong. And if you need folks to comfort you, make sure you reach out to them and take care of yourself. With that being said, holiday, we want to bring people together. We brought another part of the BCSN group team together with Brian Fulford. That's part of that sports wrap over there with Brian and AD. We want to make sure that we welcome them into the family correctly. As I said earlier, I hope all is well. We're going to get right into the mix, starting with you, Charles. What is some of the news of the day that you want to get into?
Let's jump right into it. The 2022 MEAC Football All-Conference Honors came out today. North Carolina Central leads the way with 7 first-team All-MEAC honorees. As the MEAC announced its postseason football honors presented by Town Bay. Howard follows with 6 first-team honorees, while South Carolina State had 5 honorees. Let's take a look at Trey Oliver. He was named the Coach of the Year. But let's take a look at the Offensive Lineman of the Year was Robert Mitchell, North Carolina Central. Rookie of the Year is Marquise Gillis from Delaware State. And, of course, as mentioned, Trey Oliver being the Coach of the Year. First-team honorees, Davius Richard, quarterback from North Carolina Central, running back Alfonso Graham from Morgan State, Latrell Collier, running back from North Carolina Central, wide receiver Shaq Davis from South Carolina State, Antoine Murray, wide receiver from Howard, tight end Brennan Brown, my homeboy's son, Brennan Brown, tight end from Howard, center Torchelli Simpkins from North Carolina Central, offensive linemen from North Carolina Central, Corey Bullock and Robert Mitchell, Also, offensive lineman Aneem Dankwa from Howard, and offensive lineman Nick Taste from South Carolina State. On the defensive side of the ball, defensive lineman Isaiah Williams from Delaware State, Patrick Godbold from South Carolina State, Jevin Jackson and Marcus Brown, both from Howard, Elijah Williams from Morgan State, B.J. Davis from South Carolina State, Tyler Long from Norfolk State, and Brooks Parker are your linebackers from Delaware State. The defensive backs, Khalil Baker from North Carolina Central, Ramel Harris Freeman from Delaware State, Kenny Gallup from Howard, Dwayne Nichols from South Carolina State, Javian Morton from Morgan State, and the specialist, Matt Knoll from Delaware State. Place kicker, Adrian Olivo from North Carolina Central, and rounding out is return specialist Keith Jenkins from Morgan State. So those are your first team all MEAC honors.
Nice. Shout out to the MEAC as they release this and move things forward. Let me go to my buddy Big Mike, as many like to call it. Mike, what you got HBCU news out there from a sporting perspective? What do you want to put on the table?
Yeah, you know what? I know we were talking football, but let's talk a little volleyball. So
Shivery's not dead.
That's right.
Throw some love to the
we got to show
ladies
love
out there.
to some of the ladies. So Florida A&M wins the second consecutive SWAC volleyball
Man,
tournament.
you could have saved that for Brian. You know he was all waiting to get down. Brian,
I know Brian all in there and in his soul. So, and just their second season in the SWAC, the FAMU volleyball team became two-time tournament champion after defeating number 1 Alabama State on this past Sunday.
Somebody left the door open for FAMU. Them snakes came in.
Yeah, I know. So FAMU will earn its NCAA tournament opponent and destination at the Division I selection show. The broadcast scheduled for Sunday, November 27th, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, of course, and will be carried on ESPNU. First and second round matches will take place between December 1st, 2nd, and 2nd and 3rd. I mean, it was a Florida A&M sweep, I'll say Alabama State sweep, and you talk about postseason honor. So there were 11 ties and 6 lead changes in the first set alone. That's hard to do in volleyball for those of you that keep up with volleyball. The top 2 seeds put on quite the show at H&P Arena. Dominique Washington, no kin to Big Mike Washington, knotted the opening frame at 15 all, sparking a 6-2 FAMU run, and the Rattlers were the first to reach 20 points. Oh, by the way, Dominique Washington leads the SWAC in my favorite statistic of all, kills. Oh my goodness. There's Dominique Washington, and then there's Prairie View's Kylie Owens, and then there's the rest of the SWAC in terms of kills and volleyball. For those of you, please learn that stat if you keep up with volleyball. So the team held a 4-point edge, 17-3 at the end of the latter run, but required extra points to claim its second SWAC championship. The scoreboard captured ties at 17, 18, 19, 23, and 24 before Brooklyn Watts killed, that's the stat again, provided the Rattlers with set point. So all tournament team, Alicia Alexander, Bethune-Cookman, Alexis Williams, Jackson State, Calcia Bates, Alabama State, Jada Rhodes, Alabama State, Anila Cobb, Alabama State, Irene Ucar, Florida A&M, Brooklyn Watts, Florida A&M, Brooke Hudson, Florida A&M, and Dominique Washington, Florida A&M, and MVP on the all-tournament team. Coach of the year, Gautam Yilmaz, if I pronounced that right. Wrong, I'm sorry, for Florida A&M.
Go Cam.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the rattler on the show.
You're welcome.
I think there's another rattler. I think there's another rattler in the background. But so congratulations, in all honesty, to the FAMU volleyball team.
Yelling in your ear.
He probably might secretly cut my mic off. But giving and all love to this Florida A&M Rattler volleyball team. They are truly talented. So congratulations to them, and also to Alabama State, who had a terrific year as well.
Yeah, great shout out. Since we're talking about volleyball, credit to Tennessee State. We'll have 3 HBCUs in the tournament. Tennessee State won the OVC volleyball championship in fine fashion. I happened to watch it. It was Saturday night. leading into those games. The MEAC, Delaware State getting their first championship out of the MEAC there for a while. Tennessee State hadn't won, I believe, since 2007, something like that. It's been a while, obviously, but they came in, fought back, had to go to a fifth set, and they got it done in that tournament. Shout out for that. In terms of all tournament members associated with Tennessee State, there was 3 of them: Johanna Alcantara, Kennedy Davis, and Gina Rivera Ortez, who was the MVP of the tournament. They got it done. Exciting match to watch. Shout out to Delaware State as we're on it in terms of coach getting it done there in so many ways. MEAC, as they defeated Coppin State to win the MEAC championship. So we'll get the bids for the tournament in a while. Some of those outstanding performances associated with the champions were Alejandra Maldonado out of Delaware State. Outstanding coach was Dr. Bruce Atkins getting it done. Sydney Lewis, Alejandra Maldonado, as I said, she was on there. Obviously, Valeria Otero were some of the folks associated with the all conference teams that got it done, along with a couple of Coppin State players, Howard and Maryland. Brian, what news you have?
I do want to add real quick. I want to I know Mike was very big on kills. Let me give Mike another stat or another terminology in volleyball to pay attention to. It's called sweep.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when you win 3-0, it's called a sweep. Best of 5, 3-0. Florida A&M has becoming very synonymous with the word sweep in SWAC volleyball. And that's what we did in all 3 of the matches in the tournament. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Bring out the broom, sweep, sweep, sweep. That was the, 12th, 13th, and 14th of the year. Congratulations to my Lady Rattlers. Big fan over here. Big fan. So, all right. So while we're talking about the SWAC.
Before you do that, let me say this, Brian, because you're getting comfortable. Charles and Mike, you know you're comfortable when you start bringing out your broom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You come home. You know you feel like you're at home when you bring out the broom. So welcome to the family.
Yeah.
Officially
welcome
for your second championship.
I got one final term for you: silence. It's when when somebody mentions. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, Brian. What did you want to talk about?
Look, hey, I know Charles knows about that sweep. I know he was being modest over there. They out there doing the doggone thing on the football field. So I get it. I just had to throw that in there.
A little thing called perfection.
Yes. So. Hey, I want to mention, since moving back to the football field and we're talking about the SWAC, how about the SWAC weekly honors, as their football season is still happening? It's not over just yet, although it was kind of sad watching the coaches press conference. I felt like there should have been a violin playing in the background, and some of those coaches, we were talking to them for the last time, and I don't know if the last time this season or the last time, but anyway, the SWAC named Alabama A&M Xavier Langford, Jackson State's Justin. Is it Reagan, or did I say that right? Reagan.
Justin Reagan.
Okay, Reagan and Travis Hunter, along with Mississippi Valley State's Orlando Fernandez as the SWAC Football Players of the Week. Langford, the quarterback for Alabama A&M, dual threat quarterback, connected on 6 of 8 passes for 113 yards and a touchdown, rushed for 76 yards and a pair of touchdowns on 7 carries, as he stole Texas Southern's chances of even creating the most great chaos that we all were rooting for. Snatched it right from up under him with the 17, helping A&M erase
Brian, do you have to stress it like that? I mean, when you say that, like, you have to put he stole. I mean, just say the facts. They beat him. You don't have to say he stole. It's already, the flags in Texas are still at half mast. You don't have to rub it in.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm messing.
All right. That's all good. I appreciate on the defensive side, Reagan recorded 5 tackles, a career high 3 sacks, and a career high 3.5 tackles for loss in Jackson State's 24-13 win over Alcorn to complete the perfect regular season 11-0. He contributed 3 of Jackson State's 7 sacks as they held Alcorn to 251 total yards on 4 of 17 on third down. The specialist was Mr. Fernandez. He was perfect, connecting on field goals of 36 and 26. In addition, he contributed 3 successful PATs while also downing 3 of his 5 punts inside the 20-yard line. Look at, unbelievable, man. Just guys getting it done. And then, of course, there's the young phenom, the freshman, Mr. Travis Hunter, scored 2 touchdowns. I don't know. He might have been the defensive player of the week. But anyway, he's the newcomer of the week, scored 2 touchdowns, 1 on defense for a pick 6, contributed 4 tackles. That was a 44-yard pick 6, had 3 breakups. That's a lot of work, Charles. I like how somebody asked the question. Maybe it was Doc. Doc, did you ask the question about them Alcorn challenging Travis the way they did?
I did. I certainly did.
That was a great question. I don't know if too many people are going to do that anymore because that didn't work out too well for Alcorn. As he also caught 2 passes for 49 yards on a key 4th quarter drive and scored from 19 yards out. So congrats to those young men on their performance over the week.
Yeah.
Did any of y'all see the catch, the actual touchdown catch, the 19 yard?
No, I did not see it. I did not see it.
I saw it.
The catch was crazy. Yeah.
The catch was crazy.
We'll have to see if we can get it on because it doesn't do it justice. I did it on Sunday to talk about it a little bit, but it was a significant catch in terms of what that is. The other thing that we have in there, Travis Hunter was named finalist for the Jerry Rice Award. As we're talking about awards, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, Trey Oliver, who may be playing for the Celebration Bowl champion. Both were nominated for the Eddie Robinson Award. So big time awards getting out there quickly. Mike, I know you want to say something before we go to this break.
Yeah, real quick on Travis Hunter. I saw it when it happened. And here's the thing. It was initially called out of bounds. He pops up immediately and goes to the ref and points where his drag foot stayed in bounds. And that really sparked the conversation from my perspective of overturning the call. Because if you look at it in fast speed, you're like, okay, there's no way he got in. He pops up. He knew he got in. And he pops up. He was the first player to pop up and say, look, here's where my right foot is, not my left. Here's where my right foot was still in bounds. He also had the number 5 and number 8 ESPN plays of the game on Saturday night. If you look at college sports,
he had 2. I caught the one. I didn't
he had 2. They showed his pick 6, and then they showed his catch.
Man, it's nice. You know, it's not often you get 2 on the top plays of the night. Charles just smiling. He said, "Man, I see this all the time in practice." It's good to finally see him on the. Yes, we did this. Man, let's get into breaks for my head hurt all this Jackson State talk and stuff like this. Too much. FAMU, too much. Let's take this quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We're actually going to give you some more FAMU. We'll do that in the second half of the show. We'll come back with the poll rankings. Not a lot of changes this week, but we'll get into it. Some changes. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about little Coach Willie Simmons, FAMU not getting the bid to the playoffs, some dialogue out there. We're going to give you some perspective because I thought the comments by Coach Willie Simmons were extremely wide on point. Understand that if you get a chance after watching this and you want to go see some more, you can go back and we'll share some information in terms of an earlier commentary he had where he even went in hard. With that, stick with us. We'll be right back after this break as we get into the second side and give you our poll rankings. Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports poll rankings. Stick with us. We will be right back after this quick break.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Carson, Charles Bishop, and Brian Fulford, giving you some updates. Let's get to the poll rankings. It's time. As we get into the mid-majors, let's say not a lot of mix-up this week, but let's do it as we continue to count down. This is week number 12. So we'll run through this quick, get on the other side, because we have a little more dialogue we want to talk about and get these gentlemen's opinion on. But we're going to see what they think first of the poll rankings. Things stay the same for the most part with teams, a couple of different losses, so we do want to recount what takes place. Still receiving votes, Lane Dragons, Savannah State, top 10. None other than Langston at 6-4. They remain in the 10th spot. At number 9, you have Bowie State Bulldogs at 6-4, 5-3, coming out of the CIAA with 21 points. At number 8, Virginia State Trojans, also out of the CIAA, finished with a 6-4 season, 5-3 in the conference race. Dr. Henry Fraser III, first year at the Trojan, ended in a winning season at number 8. At number 7, you have West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, 7-4. 6-2 on the season, 37 points. They stay at number 7 this week. Bringing us to number 6 to fill out the bottom 5. It's Albany State Golden Rams, 7-3, 5-2 with 49 points. They stay at number 6. The top 5 are the same in terms of their ranking. To remind you what they were. At number 5, you have the Tuskegee Golden Tigers, 8-3 on the season, 7-1, as they came out of the West Division of the SIAC, 61 points there. At number 4, you have Fort Valley State Wildcats. Did not get that bid to the Division II playoffs. And while you have the team out there, I won't even say their name, that was complaining about teams getting in. There was a breakdown on the Brian and AD show that talked about Fort Valley State probably had a bigger argument if you really want to look at the numbers in a lot of ways. I thought that was impressive to see that type of work in terms of what Mike likes to call the data points. They end at number 4. Bringing us to number 3, Fayetteville State Broncos 9-3 on the season, 7-1 as they finished after losing in the Division II first round last week, 77 points. Bringing us to number 2, Virginia Union Panthers that also had a tough road of things in the playoffs, finished at 9-2, 7-1 on the season. Remaining at number 2, dropped some points at 85. Number 1, Benedict Tigers 11-0, 8-0, 10 first place votes, 100 points. They are carrying the mantle for HBCUs at the Division II, as they had a opening round bye in the first round, but they played this week. We'll talk about that matchup in the third segment, but Benedict Tigers season is still continuing, so we will play this out in terms of naming our mid-major. It looks like it's pretty clear of who that will be, but for the process, we will not close out the season until they finish their run in the playoffs. With that being said, let me go to Mike with all that nice little vest he has on there. And, we're going to go ahead and let him share his thoughts on the poll rankings.
And, Doc, I'm not going to say too much about this, but I think there's not too much of a change here. I just would like to say that I'm about 30 minutes from Fort Valley State with my wife's parents stay. And I just like to add, you could add some arguments for Fort Valley. getting a bid into the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there. That didn't happen. But I really don't have any qualms with this particular poll. Now we'll wait till we get to the majors. But with this particular poll, I think you hit it. You hit the nail on the head.
He's just making it clear before we get there. I have some problems with the next one. But that means, Charles, what are your thoughts on the mid-major?
I think this is a very accurate poll. What jumps out at me, though, Dr. Bill, is a bit of the changing of the guard. For the last 2 or 3 seasons, we've seen Bowie State up there at the very top, as well as Langston. And to see things kind of transpose, if you will, now we have Benedict that's up there at the top. Tremendous season, undefeated season for the Benedict Tigers and Virginia Union. Great season as well. And Tuskegee. They came out of nowhere and they've reestablished themselves back in the upper echelon, if you will, of the Division II ranks. So kudos to all of those teams that have kind of gotten back in the football business, as you like to say.
Man, excellent points you make there in terms of changing of the guard this year. Right on point. Let me go to Brian, get his thoughts to share on the poll rankings. We brought him in, so I just want him to be aware, to be considerate if he, likes the fact that he's on the show. Just kidding. Tell us how you really feel, bro.
It's all good. I'm assuming Mike is not a voter. So, but I will say this, that what's interesting about 2 and 3.
Assumption is correct.
Okay. For 2 and 3, number 3, even though Fayetteville State is the CIAA champion, head-to-head against Virginia Union won. So for anybody who will say, oh, well, why isn't Fayetteville State, 2? Well, look, head-to-head, Union won. Now, means something on the head-to-head streets. So, congratulations to all those teams. Disappointed we won't see our Union Benedict dream matchup, but it's all good. We'll still root on the Benedict Tigers this upcoming week and hopefully over the next couple of weeks.
No doubt. Great points. You're welcome to come back on the show anytime, as you did a great job there, Brian. Just want to say that. Let's get into the major divisions where it sounds like Mike is already concerned with some things. We'll see what is tweaking him a little bit. Let's get into the top 10 of the major divisions. Starting out with those teams receiving votes is Delaware State Hornets. Dropping out is also Delaware State Hornets, as they dropped out of this week with a tough loss. A lot of ups and downs to see when Delaware State, obviously the death of the coach is something that is really challenging in terms of that, multiple injuries and things of that nature. So it's tough to see that they weren't able, even though they followed away and had a chance until that last game to get out of there. Campbell played 4 HBCUs. They split. To let it all be said, they went 2-2 during that reign of the HBCUs in terms of the season to say to what they is. So interesting there. Let's get into the top 10. At number 10, you have Howard Bison. With their victory and a share of the MEAC, finished the season at 5-6, but they get a share as they go 4-1 in the MEAC. 20 points and were not ranked. Really beat up on Morgan State. Morgan State Bears scored late in the game, so essentially a shutout for most of the game. So credit to the Bison getting it done. At number 9, Alcorn State Braves, 5-6, 4-4, 22 points in the poll ranking as they stay at number 9. Bringing us to Texas Southern Tigers, that 5-6, 4-4, 28 points, had a chance at a winning season, much like Alcorn, as Alcorn was facing a rival number 1 team in the poll ranking at that time, but could not get it done. Texas Southern let a 21-point fourth quarter get away, as well as what inevitably would have been a chance to play for a championship against the Alcorn team faced Jackson State. Just amazing how that all went down. Bringing us to number 7, Prairie A&M. They lost to Valley on the road as they were fighting to see if they could take on the previous ranked number 1 team of last week, Jackson State. Nobody seems to want it. They do finish the season with a winning record, 6-5, 5-3, particularly if they do not see what goes on with number 6, Southern, as we finish out the bottom 5. Look at all those teams in the top 10 from the West Division. So it is interesting to see how folks were poking fun at the West, but in terms of the depth and how they played, in terms of top 10 status, you can see just how deep that conference was with talents there, not to be with anybody being able to kind of stand out and have their way. They're at 6-4, 4-3. They had a big game this week. Bayou Classic will send them to the championship game if they win it. If not, they'll allow number 7 to back into the championship and see what they can do. They move up a spot as Prairie View moves down 2 spots. That finished out the bottom 5. Let's get in the top 5. At number 5, North Carolina A&T State Aggies, 7-4, 4-1, as they play in this year, closing out the Big South. They had a chance at a championship, not to be. They fall a spot at 65 points. Bringing us to number 4, Alabama State Hornets were off last week. They play in the Turkey Day on Thanksgiving, obviously 6-4 and 4-3. Talking about a team that is waiting to see what can get done. Oddly, this is a team that beat Texas Southern, lost to Prairie View in terms of those matchups that continue to get it done, and defeated Howard Bison. All these teams, other than Prairie View, are looking at 500 records, and part of the reason they don't get there is Alabama State early in the season. And for Howard to kick things off, you go all the way back to their first game. Chance for Alabama State to solidify their top 5 spots as just how tough the Eastern Division is when you think of things. Bringing us to number 2, North Carolina Central, the Eagles are 9-2, 4-1, 97 points. Close out things with the comeback victory, winning on the field goal. They move up a spot from number 3 this week to number 2, jumping over FAMU. FAMU did defeat their rival and obviously was held out the playoffs, but finished at number 3 in the poll ranking. Number 1, Jackson State Tigers, 11-0, 7-0, as they couldn't get it done. Actually, it should be 8-0 in terms of conference play. 12 first place votes, 120 points. Getting done in the poll rankings. You see what goes on in the poll rankings. Let me start with Charles this time. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the top 10 poll ranking?
Pretty accurate. I will say this, Coach Eddie Robinson, heck of a job this season. You get an opportunity to burnish your resume on Thanksgiving Day, but to bring Alabama State within that top 5, that is a major accomplishment, and they're going to be a tough team moving forward. I had some time, I guess, to kind of digest, this weekend, and I'm just was trying to think who had the tougher loss, with Prairie View, with everything that was on the line against Valley, or Texas Southern losing their 21-point lead in the 4th quarter. That is a tough thing to really digest.
I'm not sure if you will ever find the answer there. It'd probably be who you had.
Yeah,
tell you, but you're right. They were so different in terms of how you came into it and the way they are. You can make an argument for either one of them being very extremely tough. Great question.
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's just kind of. I thought the poll was pretty accurate, and you just kind of take a look at some of the teams. Like I said, Alabama State, just a tremendous job, and you get an opportunity to kind of distance yourself a little bit from North Carolina A&T if you get this win on Thursday.
Yes, very good point. Mike, what are your thoughts in the poll ranking? You came in saying you had some concerns. Jackson State for the 11th consecutive week. They did not have it the first week with South Carolina State coming in to the season based on a lot of ways what they had coming back and closing out in the Celebration Bowl. They lost that first weekend. Jackson State snagged the first place votes. Didn't have all of them at that time, but have won consecutively, now getting unanimous votes in it. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, first, the teams and the top 4 or 5 all have a chance at a championship or have played for one in North Carolina A&T. You have, I know Alabama State's had a great year, but they have a head-to-head loss against Prairie View. What justifies them, and Prairie View, like it or love it, despite how the chips may fall, still has a chance to make it to the championship. And so I question having Alabama State above them. Southern as well. They beat Prairie View quite convincingly. Yeah, Alabama State is ahead of Southern. Southern has a chance to also play for the championship. one of the considerations is once you get to the end of the season, those teams should be the team that either are vying for or are in the championship game. All right. And I'm looking at head-to-head as well and common opponents. So that's the concern I have. Yeah, to take nothing away from Alabama State, tremendous season, but they're number 3rd in just the East. So,
right, but I want to get Charles to do. I'm gonna give Charles a homework assignment, or you can do it, Mike, since you had the question. What is the East record versus the West? We saw how the East dominated the West early on. I think the West held their own, but I think of late the East have made a late run. So I think that's something. And then I do like the head-to-head matchups, but it's also about the timing of the year. Prairie View's lost 2 of their last 3 games. Right. Where do you put that in the mix, particularly when they have 5 losses to Alabama State 4? If Pine Bluff beats up on Alabama State, I think you might get an argument, because I'm sure Alabama State is going to fall pretty far with such a loss to a team that comes in 0-7 in terms of the conference race, just 2 wins. You might get a mark there, but what if they finish and get the win? They finish at 7-4. You still going to want to put Prairie View over Alabama State, finishing at 6-5?
It depends. It depends. There's a lot of depends.
Oh, Brian, get us out.
Well, because here's the thing: you're throwing in things like time of the year. Well, if you're gonna throw in that factor, we can talk about stuff like quality wins, quality losses. So I think
what is Prairie View's quality? I agree with that. What is Prairie View's quality win?
We're not talking about Prairie View. I mean that's.
I was waiting on that answer. I was like, yeah. What is Prairie View's quality win?
Yeah. So I want to ask.
Go ahead.
I want to ask. What's Alabama State's quality win?
Howard. That's top 10 win.
Yeah.
Top 10 and who? Howard's not okay. All right, we won't go.
I mean, we
talking. We still talking Howard. We still talking Howard.
I guess you go Texas Southern, but Brian, go ahead.
Oh, Mike, we talking Valley. Valley? Yeah, that Valley. That's all people gonna be talking about.
All right.
But you can say Alabama State also beat Texas Southern. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it'll all correct itself out, because I think as you've eloquently stated, Southern or Prairie View, whoever comes out of this upcoming week, especially if Southern beats Grambling, I would imagine Southern jumping up to 4. Yep. And then it'll correct itself. I mean, I think everything looks, it's great. It's good to see Howard in the top 10, winning the MEAC championship. I'm still scratching. I think I am still
MEAC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. MEAC champions. Yes. So congratulations to Howard. I'm still scratching my head over the SWAC West chaos. I'm still you history buffs. Somebody said, when's the last time you saw a weekend like that? I heard people mention 2013. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be. I think there needs to be a 30 for 30. We need like an hour documentary on what happened, and then put some historical context on it. But I guess we just need to see how the Bayou plays out. So it'll be interesting. But
anything can happen. Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Oh yeah. No, anything can happen. Yeah. You never know. In that West, it's just it will go down for a great 30 for 30. We do need to let it play out so you can tell all parts of the puzzle. But it's going to be fascinating. The only way that this would have a final spin on it, and Charles, put your hands over your ears, is if you get an upset in the SWAC championship game. Other than that, it's going to be a foothold in the story of how the West was not won. It would be the name of the documentary. It's not going to be out of the even though somebody going to win, it's going to tell how it wasn't won. Particularly
how the West was lost.
Gets into the championship game and gets beat up by Jackson State. I mean, what you going to celebrate in terms of coming out of the West the way it was ugly to go and get beat up by Jackson State if that's the case. With that being said, let's get into our second break. a great dialogue and discussion, even with Mike picking up the phone. I thought he usually comes hard, but this time his data points. I need to go tell him to check out the CPUs because I'm not sure about this one. Usually he comes a little stronger than that. We're gonna give him a break. He's going on the road there. We'll be right back after this break. We'll get into some more dialogue. We got a mid-major matchup. Before we do that, we're gonna play some sound bites and get these guys' thoughts about it. Then we'll sneak in the playoff information, and then the fourth segment we'll get into the major division. Those two games we kind of snuck out based on what's in the top 10. We'll tell you about that, how we think the West maybe won. Ultimately, we'll get into a little bit of that discussion. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this second break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
But again, just happy for the guys.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Simmons. First question goes to Dr. Cavil.
This is Kenyatta with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Congratulations on season. I was, much like yourself, disappointed in terms of not being able to get the at-large bid to the playoffs. But I saw a video where you spoke to your fans, particularly, speaking about the great season, thanking them for their support, obviously, but the fact that you would make some moves or whatever to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I think that was a little bit about scheduling. Can you expound on that? And in that, is there a framework in terms of the Classic with Jackson State and FAMU? Will that game stay on that date in terms of Labor Day, or is there discussion to move it?
Well, one, the message to our fans was more about just thanking them for their support. And, me saying that this won't happen again, it really didn't speak to our scheduling methods. It spoke to, us as a program doing what needs to be done to ensure that we control our own destiny. And that's what the vision is here at Florida A&M. And so, as far as the scheduling goes, a lot of that stuff is done years in advance. And so we have a scheduling philosophy here. Don't know if we're in a position to change that as of today or in the near future. We just got to control what we can control. And so as far as the Orange Blossom Classic, it's a game that we enjoy being a part of. there have been some discussions. There's one more year on the contract, I think, with Jackson State obligated to it. And then after that, we'll assess who the opponent will be moving forward. You know, we want to keep the game. We want it to stay in the SWAC, but maybe look at some ways to where it's not, where it doesn't have conference ramifications that early in the season. So, you know, but again, we'll definitely assess those things once our new AD, Tiffany Don Sykes, gets in and we're able to talk about the long-term vision for our program.
Brian, and I'm going to come to you, Charles, with a little bit about this. You know, the Orange Blossom Classic, I want to ask you a little bit about that. Would you like to see the game moved later in the year, maybe in November? I think there's some talks about that. And the second part of that, who would you like to see in the Orange Blossom Classic if Jackson State is not in it?
Well, yes, I do not want to play Jackson State in September. The second part of that question, if we do play them in November, I want to make sure it's not on homecoming weekend. Although it's hard to win a game at Bragg on homecoming, I specifically want to make sure we don't schedule Jackson State on homecoming. They seem to take offense to that kind of thing. So we don't want to give any more no more wood to the fireplace. But that's going to be a big game. That's Coach Prime, his return to Tallahassee. That game must be at Bragg. Can't say it any clearer than that. Coach Prime's return to Tallahassee has to be at Bragg Stadium. And then who I think, originally, what's funny is they originally scheduled Albany State right before the COVID year happened. So that's who the first team was that was scheduled to come to the Florida Classic. I don't know, if a team like North Carolina A&T would travel. Would Tennessee State travel? I think those are good fan bases. Given the absence of HBCU games over the course of the year for A&T, would that excite them? I don't know if South Carolina State would be a great fit. I think they'd be a little closer to somewhere like Jacksonville. But that's my thought on two teams. I always wondered about the Albany State matchup in the get-go. So, yeah, I would go either Tennessee State or a North Carolina A&T personally.
Yeah, great point. Charles, are you the type of person like the idea of opening up the season against FAMU in Miami, or would you like to see it November yourself?
No, I like to see it in November myself. I mean, when you open up a conference opponent, everything is on the line, especially a SWAC East opponent there. So, I mean, you have to get it done that first game. Personally speaking, I wouldn't mind November. Love going to Bragg. It's been fun. Tony Hughes won at Bragg. So, I don't mind going down to Bragg whatsoever. I thought I'd throw that in there.
Wow.
That hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, I see that. Well, like you said, there's another year on the contract, so maybe in 2024 we'll see some changes. With that being said, let's get in it and get to the second part of the conversation here before we move the show along a little bit. Let's see if we can play that part.
Coach, on Saturday, it looked like I was covering a playoff team. To not advance to the playoffs, talk about the loss that is for the greater picture, for everyone else out there not to see FAMU play football.
Well, I think it's a slap in the face to all HBCUs, right? That we're all worthy team. We're, as of today, the 20th ranked team in the coaches poll. So the guys that coach football, that watch football, that vote on our teams feel that there are 19 teams in the country that have a stronger resume than we do. But the powers that be felt otherwise. And there's some teams that got in that were ranked higher than. There are a lot of teams that got in that we have a lot more wins than. So I think it's a slap in the face to all of us at this level, at the HBCU level. And hopefully that it resonates through our community and that we, speak up like we always have about injustice to our people.
Have a blessed day, Coach.
Thank you, James.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned how disappointed you were not to make the playoff. Is there anything that you would possibly be able to suggest changing about the way in which teams for the playoffs are determined? and kind of like how they are weighed against each other?
Well, again, it's voted on by a selection committee. And so I think that's a question for the committee. Do they feel that it's okay to deny a 9-win team with 8 FCS wins and a loss to an undefeated top 5 team and another loss to a Power 5 team that'll play for a conference championship? If they feel that resume isn't strong enough to get into the playoffs, then I think that's a larger discussion. So it's not really on us to change it. We've done what we needed to do. So people talking about changing our scheduling or, changing the Orange Blossom Classic and all those things. Well, that would mean that we're the problem, right? We're not the problem. We won 9 games. We did what we needed to do on the football field. I think the problem is the way the committees vets teams and what they consider to be strong points and what they consider to be weak points. And I've always thought that what you do at the end of the season has merit. And the fact that there are 2 teams in the field that both have 4 conference losses and both have lost half of their last ball games, I think that's problematic.
I know it's not lost on you, Coach, that this happened to you when you were coaching at Prairie View. You thought you had a team that was good enough to make the playoffs and didn't make it. Knowing that and you saying that you felt like this was an injustice, do you honestly believe that the FCS Selection Committee or the NCAA as a whole does not respect HBCU football?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that they don't respect it. I'm just going to point to the facts. The facts are that in 2015, we had a football team that had 8 official wins. They took 1 win away from us. They had the nation's top scoring offense. They had one of the nation's most dynamic players who got left out of the field. And then you fast forward to 2019, a South Carolina State team that lost a game to FAMU, who finished the season ranked in the top 25, and North Carolina A&T, who finished the season ranked in the top 25, and to Clemson, who played for a national title. They didn't get in either, with 8 FCS wins. And then you look at FAMU this year with 8 FCS wins as well, a loss to a top 5 Jackson State team, and a loss to a North Carolina team that will play in the ACC championship. And those were the first 2 games of the season to not get in. Again, I see a pattern, right? And so, I'm just a fact finder. I'm a guy that points out facts. Those are the facts. And so whatever we deduce from those facts, that's subjective. But I do think that there's something wrong with the system if those 3 teams aren't worthy of playing in the 2014 playoff field.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Goes to Jeff.
Hey, Coach Simmons, Jeff Lighty Jr. How are you?
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
I'm good. So I just want to ask you, I'm just curious on how you think. Do you believe that the fact that the MEAC champion, the SWAC champion go into the Celebration Bowl may hurt the conference's chances of a team that doesn't make the Celebration Bowl getting into the FCS playoffs? I know it benefits the Celebration Bowl, benefits the conferences, but do you think a team like yours is hurt because the SWAC and the MEAC opt to go to something else besides the playoff?
Are we eligible to go?
Yeah, you are.
That's all that needs to be said. We're eligible to go. So if it hurts us, then that's a personal decision because we're eligible to go. The Ivies aren't eligible. So there's some Ivy League teams that are undefeated or 10-1, 9-0, 9 whatever. They're not eligible to go because their conference decided they're not going to go to the playoffs. The MEAC or the SWAC has never said their teams will not go to the playoffs. We've said our conference champions won't go to the playoffs. But any other team is eligible as members of the FCS, and we still have that agreement. So if it hurts us, it's not our decision. It's not us that hurts it. We still can go. We're eligible.
Absolutely. And just
this is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's take this break. On the other side, we'll get their thoughts. We'll get in the 4th quarter. Thought it was important to make sure you all that hadn't heard that, you probably had heard tidbits or you've heard people speak towards it, have their own comments, but I thought it was important to give you some context for those that may not have that. With that being said, let's go back. We'll be right back out of this last break and get some comments from what was said before we close out the show.
Shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Will inside the HBCU Sports Labs. I want to get this comments. I'm gonna start with Charles, because if you had more time, we'd play the remaining of the segment. Charles got a question in there that was really good, talking about that he agreed with his statements and how powerful they were. He said that on record. And then he asked the follow-up question, and Willie Simmons showed also his lighter side and came back and made sure everybody knew that his first target was to find a way to get past Jackson whenever they play him, in terms of that big juggernaut he got up there. So he also put out there his major goal is that he wants, which really opened up the question that I had of really where his focus was, not so much in terms of the schedule, the fact that he wanted to make sure that he left no doubt in terms of his team being number one coming out of the East. If things don't change where you get the top two teams playing, and then that means coming out of the championship, which would be interesting to me if things change up, that he would win the first matchup against Jackson State, and then you find out that you take the top two teams and it's Jackson State. Jackson State comes to Tallahassee, regardless, at the end of the season in the championship game, and somehow Jackson State gets it done. Charles smiles, Brian doesn't. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about what was said in terms of those emotions. Starting with you, Charles, what are your thoughts?
Nothing he said was wrong. And I wanted to make sure that I told him that. I was dumbfounded. There's no way you can convince me that 4 7-4 teams were better than this 9-2 Florida A&M team. In fact, out of those 4 teams that are 7-4, Delaware lost 3 of its last 4. Montana lost 3 of its last 5. I don't understand it. You have a 9-2 team that is, other than Jackson State, that is the hottest team in FCS going down the stretch. It just makes absolutely no sense. And I think he was correct in making sure that he said it was a pattern. It is a pattern. However, everybody wants to devalue who Florida A&M has played. You can stop. He is saying it is a pattern that the FCS selection committee, what they're doing to HBCU schools. So I'm so glad that he put that on the record. And I'll go to bat for Florida A&M with regards to them making it to the playoffs.
And then what was nice to close it on, I pass it to Mike and then let Brian pretty much have the final word. He also closed out with Coach Prime. He did his segment, and before he got off, he wanted to make sure that he made it clear that he agreed with Coach Willie Simmons, and he echoed how he put it down in terms of his comments, but also in terms of the history and his data points, as Mike likes to say, in terms of support, what Charles just said in very straightforward language. With that being said, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just what he said. I think it resonated with me because we won't. Let's throw the 7-4 teams aside. You know, how a 9-2 team cannot get selected, and you have 2 7-4 as CB put it. I was doing the research as I was on the plane, and yeah, they lost three of their last 4, 3 of their last 5. That's this year. You put it in historical context. He gave several examples where this is systemic, really, against HBCUs, and he provided solid data points to back those up. This is a systemic problem, and my question, and it's a rhetorical one, is how do we elevate this issue? Because he put it in articulate terms, but how do we elevate this? Because it's a committee that makes this selection, and there's clear unconscious bias in this. The data points are supported.
You'd be blessing if you're saying unconscious.
Yeah,
it may be conscious.
Conscious. You're right. There's conscious and unconscious bias in this. We talk about that in corporate America all the time, and it's unconscious. This is conscious and unconscious. This is a double whammy. Where you can have this. He gave several examples, and I'm just wondering, how do you elevate this issue so where somebody can come in and say, hey, here's a coach who's provided the data point, the history, the context, and let's do something about it. That's where I'm saying, let's not just leave it here. Let's elevate this. Someone should come in and say, and support it and back it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm upset as well, and I supported from the get-go. I just knew in my heart of hearts that FAMU was going to be selected for the playoffs, just without question, unequivocally. They finished. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Great points. And what's frustrating to me is because of the history and the data points, I was the opposite, Mike. I knew they should have been selected, but I knew they weren't going to be selected, which is even worse when you know how the committee does historic, as you said, bias, which is being nice. Brian, final thoughts here. What do you have to say?
My final thought is that I think it would be a shame if Coach Simmons's words are not backed up by somebody of power, significance, in an administrative level above him. And I'm going to even go from the athletic director or interim athletic director of Florida A&M, or the future athletic director of Florida A&M, the president of the university, the head of the board of regents, the mayor of Tallahassee. I understand it's challenging for even the commissioner, because it's challenging for the commissioner of the conference, because your focus at this point in the season should be towards your championship game and your Celebration Bowl, even though you have this tremendous travesty and this systemic issue that has been. And I'm sure Dr. McClellan will address it after the football season. And that's just, I get that. I understand that. But I would hate for Coach Simmons's words not to be backed up. I mean, hey, it's great having Coach Prime back your words up, but I've seen other conferences in the past 48 hours issue letters.
Yeah.
See, for some reason, people take that as gospel. Right. So I want to see it in written form by somebody from an administrative level, put it in writing, just like they did on the Division II level and in the FCS level from other schools who had issues, right? Who had issues with the process or processes. And I just hope that happens. And I know I heard Coach Simmons say that he will address it in the FACA coaches meeting, because it is something that FCS coaches need to address. They need to know what the criteria is, so that as administrators, you know what to schedule, you know how to schedule, and as teams, you want to know what do we have to do to play? What do we have to do to get into the playoffs? That's what is, I hate to use the word fair, but that's what's equal. That would create an equal playing field if you know what the criteria is. Right now, FAMU, the SWAC, even the MEAC, should a school fall into this? We don't know what the criteria is, and so we're playing on an uneven playing field.
Well said, well said. Obviously, the game between Alabama State and Pine Bluff will be played before we air on Thursday. So quickly, I know this is probably straightforward, but I do want to get each of your thoughts in terms of those matchups, or at least who you have coming out of it. Starting with you, Charles, Turkey Day class.
Yeah, Alabama State should be able to pull that out.
Right?
I'm sorry, you went to me. Yeah, gobble gobble gobble. Lion turkey ducking. That's what you got on the plate in Alabama State.
No doubt, no doubt. Mike?
Oh, you got Alabama State rolling, baby.
No doubt. Good way to close it out. On Thursday, we'll give you a Hampton Benedict in the playoffs, give you prepare for that, as well as the Bayou Classic, give you some more framework that we'll have some guests in. Looking at see if we can even bring in a little Grambling and Southern flavor to make sure that we can really spark it off right. So stick with us for Thursday as you eat your turkey. Sit back before you fall asleep. Make sure you're prepared to turn us on. We'll give you a little special edition on Thursday evening to make sure you're prepared for your Saturday. And we'll come back and close things off by Sunday. We'll know who Jackson State will play for a SWAC championship game. It has to come to an end. We'll finally get an answer and find out
a week and a half
decides
before the game.
They're going to show up. Exactly. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the college HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, our colleague, Brian Fulford, joins us. And again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 6 o'clock. Stick with us because we'll be back on Thanksgiving for a special edition. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon, Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Ryan.
Dismiss, baby.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball.